discuss the concept of normal form. What is normal form? What is the database schema? What is the refinement schema? And what is Boyle's code normal form? So by the end of this lecture, that is my objective. By the end of this lecture, you will be able to learn various types of normal forms that are being used in database management system. So have a look at the evils of redundancy. So first of all, we are discussing about the redundancy. That is the main issue in normal form. So what is redundancy? Redundancy is creating so many problems in database. It could be relational database, because if a data that is repeated over and again in so many tables, then it could pose many problems, and it is difficult to deal with the same even after so many softwares are available. But if data is redundant, that is present, then it could create problems, and it could lead to inconsistencies as well. So we are supposed to learn what are the evils of redundancy. So what is basically redundancy? It is the root of several problems that are associated with relational schemas. So what are those? It could be redundant storage, insert, delete, anomalies, or update anomalies could be there. Anomalies mean to say it could be any kind of confusion that is present in the database. So it is concerned with the same. So next main point of concern is in redundancies. It could be integrity constraints, that is in particular functional dependencies. It can be used to identify schemas with such problems and to suggest refinements. So third main point is main refinement technique that we use is decomposition, that is to replace ABCD with say ABCD, ACD or ABD. So these are the kind of topics that we are going to discuss in detail in the upcoming slides. Next is decomposition should be used judiciously. So what does that mean? That is there a reason to decompose a relation? There is any reason behind decomposition of a relation? And what problems, if there exist, does the decomposition cause? So next is we are supposed to discuss about introduction to schema refinement that we are going to use in normal form. So what is schema refinement? That it is concerned with the problems that are caused by redundancy. So first one is storing the same information redundantly. Same information is repeated again and over. So that means in more than one place within a database can lead to several problems. So what could be that problems? We have to look at the problems. First is redundant storage. So what is redundant storage? That is some information is stored repeatedly. Second is update anomalies. What is update anomalies? Mean to say if one copy of such repeated data is updated, an inconsistency because remaining could not be updated. It is created unless all copies are similarly updated. Third is so that it could create a confusion. So that is why it is concerned with anomaly. Next is insertion anomalies. Same is the case with insertion anomalies. What could be that? It may not be possible to store some information unless some other information is stored as well. So there could be a connection between some kind of information that is to be stored. So next is deletion anomalies. What are the deletion anomalies that we are going to discuss? It may not possible to delete some information without. What are the main points that are concerning with the deletion anomalies? Losing some other information as well, or consider a relation obtained by translating a variant of the hourly employees entity set. For example is given for your reference. Hourly employees is the table name in which there are various attributes that are there: social security number, name, IoT, rating. What is the rating for the same? Hourly wages, hourly work. So these are all kinds of attributes that could be associated with hourly employee table. So in this way we are supposed to cover data, and it could come up with various anomalies. So there are main point of concerns regarding the same. That is the key for hourly employees is social security number, because I always told you about the one attribute that could be unique. So here it is social security number. In addition, suppose that the hourly wages attribute is determined by the rating attribute. So that is for a given rating value, there is only one permissible hourly wages value. So this I see is an example of a functional dependency. So it leads to possible redundancy in the relation, which is hourly employees. So have a look at the description again. If you are having any problem with the same, you can ask me. I am giving you a time of 1 minute. You can ask me any question if there is any confusion. I am talking about anomalies here, and I am giving you that with the help of some example, that is hourly employees, in which there are various attributes that are to be there. So social security number is the unique attribute that is to be there, but there are certain attributes who depend on each other to gain some information. So that is the case that is described here. So the key for hourly employees is social security number, and suppose that the hourly wages attribute is determined by the rating attribute. So it means rating for a given rating value, there could be one permissible hourly wages value. So this is an example of functional dependency. Now it is functionally, rating is functionally dependent on the hourly wages value. So same, it could lead to the redundancy, because two entities, or I can say two attributes, are dependent on each other in order to fetch the value. So it could lead to the redundancy in the relation hourly employees. Next is, we are concerned with decomposition here, because we are going to use decomposition thing in our Boyce code normal form. So what is that? Intuitively, redundancy arises when a relational schema forces an association between attributes that is not natural. Next is functional dependency, that is also called IC. Functional dependency is called IC. It can be used to identify such situations and to suggest revetments to the schema. Next is the third essential point, that is the idea that is many problems arising from redundancy can be addressed it either by replacing a relation with a collection of smaller relation. Because you know, if a problem, we are supposed to maintain huge amount of data, and in huge amount of data it could be the case that redundant information is available. Now how to overcome that redundancy? With the help of some solution, because every problem has a solution. Without solution, there is not a problem that even exists. So we are supposed to deal with the solution. So there is a provision that is given for us, that is decomposition. We are supposed to convert larger tables into the smaller ones, so that we can easily analyze the data and there could not be any repetitions that might exist in the table if we are supposed to decompose the same. So same is the case here. Each of the smaller relations contain a subset of the attributes of the original relation. Next is, we refer to this process as decomposition of the larger relation into the smaller relation. So next, you are given with the problem, that is, we can deal with the redundancy in hourly employees by decompose it into the two relations. So hourly employees 2, that could be SSS name, rating, hours worked. Next is, we are converting next table into the, or I can say we are taking the example of the, or reference of the next table, that is wages, that are concerned with hourly. Here it is hourly worked, it is hourly wages, and it is rating here. So rating is concerned with here rating and hourly wages. This is the wages table in which rating is 8 and 1 rating is 5, and 8 rating is having hourly wages 10, 5 rating is having hourly wages 7. So same is the case with the hourly employee table. This is the hourly employee table in which social security number is given, name is given, load is given, rating is given, and hours worked are given. So you are supposed to have a look at the table. Next is, we are supposed to learn problems about decomposition. So what are those? Have a look at the same. Unless we are careful, decomposing a relation schema can create more problems than it solves. Unless we are careful, decomposition can pose more problems than it solves. How? Two important questions must be asked repeatedly. First one is, do we need to decompose a relation? Second is, what problems does a given decomposition pose? Third is, to help with the questions, several normal forms have been proposed for relations so that we can reduce the redundancy, concept of redundancy. If a relation schema is in one of these normal forms, we know that certain kinds of problems cannot arise. For example, if we are supposed to consider the functional dependency, then it could be the case. So we are supposed to examine the concept of functional dependency here. Now, what is functional dependency? X is functionally dependent on Y. It holds over relation R if for every allowable instant R of R is having this interpretation. This interpretation, that is T1 belongs to R, T2 belongs to R, pi x of T1 which is equal to pi x of T2. So this could be the relation. It means what is the relation? P of y T1 is equal to pi of y T2. That is, we are given T1 is tuples. We are given two tuples in R. That is a relation. If the x value agree, then the y value must also agree. If the x value agree, then y value must also agree. So x and y are set of attributes. So what is functional dependency? An FD is a statement about all allowable relations, that is must be identified based on semantics, mean to say meanings of the application, and given some allowable instances. For example, R1, it could be any part of the relation R1 of R. We can check if it violates some functional dependency. F, a functional dependency name is given F, but we cannot tell if F holds over the relation R. So K is a candidate key for R, which means that K is deriving R. So however, if K is deriving R, does not require K to be minimal. So this is the main case that is concerned with functional dependency. So next is example, that is constraints on entity set. So consider relation obtained from hourly employees. Hourly employees, that is SSN, name, rating, hourly wages, hours worked. So what could be the notations that we are supposed to use here? We will denote this relation schema by listing the attributes. This one, social security number, this is name, this is load, this is rating, this is hourly wages, this is hourly worked. So this is the main concern with the same. So this is really the set of attributes. We are enclosing in curly braces. Sometimes we will refer to all attributes of a relation by using the relation name. It could be hourly employees table for various attributes, that is S, N, L, R, W, and H. But there could be some functional dependency that might occur. So some functional dependency on hourly employees could be SSN is the key. So S belongs to those variable or attributes that are defined above. So rating determine hourly wages. So rating is determined by hourly wages. So rating is directly deriving wages. So next is an example that is being given here. You can have a look at the same. Till now, if you are having any confusion, ask me, because I am moving to the practical part of the functional dependency. So next is, there are two tables that are associated with the example that I am going to discuss. Again, its attributes are mentioned here with the short numbers, with the, I can say, initials of the attributes S, N, L, R, H. Again, below there is a table that is given for the same. So we are supposed to consider three anomalies. So what would be the problems due to R? that is deriving W. R is deriving W na. That is rating is deriving wages. So these are the wages table. That is R and W, which is having rating 5 and wages 7. So same is the case with hourly employees. There are various attributes that are defined there, and that attributes have further various interpretations. So we are supposed to concern 3 problems here. That is update anomaly, insertion anomaly, and deletion anomaly. So what is update anomaly? Can we change W? W mean to say wages in the just first tuple of these. First tuple mean to say this is the very first tuple, and he is talking about this tuple, so we are talking about SNLRWH. So this is the first tuple, that is 12322 666 is the social security number. Atishu is the name, 48 is the age, R is the rating is 8, wages are 10, and hourly wages are 40. So update anomaly is saying what? Can we change W in just the first tuple of this? Is it possible that we can just change the wages? Because wages are dependent on rating as well. If we change the wages, there could be minor changes in rating as well. So next is my insertion anomaly. What is it saying? What if we want to insert an employee and don't know the hourly wage for his rating? So it could be possible for us? No. Next is deletion anomaly. So what is deletion anomaly saying? If we delete all the employees with rating 5, that is 2 interpretations exist for the same. We lose the information about the wage formatting for rating 5. So this is the case na, because we are concerned with rating 5 case and we are supposed to lose 2 tuples here. So this is the main problem. Now how to resolve these anomalies? This could be possible with the help of the normal forms. So there could be some constraints on the relationship set. What could be those? We are supposed to study the same. Have a look at all those constraints one by one. Suppose that we have entity sets, parts, suppliers. These are the examples of tables, relations. Entity set, parts, suppliers table is there, and department is there, as well as relationship set, that is contracts, that involve all of them. So we refer to the schema for contracts as CQPSD. CQPSD. You can have an interpretation, get it from these initials. We are setting initials here. It could be suppliers, it could be parts, it could be departments, it could be relationships. So these are the initials that are taken from the major entities. So a contract with contract ID C, a contract with contract ID C, species that a supplier S will supply some quantity Q of a part P to a department D. Now try to understand the query, because it is very huge query and it is quite complex query. So we might have a policy that a department purchase at most, you are supposed to look at the words as well, at most one part from any given supplier. So thus, if there are several contracts, again I am repeating, if there are several contracts between the same supplier and department, we know that the same part must be involved in all of them. Then the constraint could be, this constraint is an functional dependency. So you can have a look at the same. So this could be the constraint. So this could be the constraint, but you are supposed to draw the constraint only if you are supposed to understand the meaning behind the query, or I can say meaning behind the interpretation or the relations that is given to you. Again, have a look at the same slide, again read the same slide, because it is a complex problem. You have to look at the same again and again. So suppose that, again I am repeating, we have an entity set. Entity sets mean to say there could be various relational tables that are available to us. It is parts, it is suppliers, it is departments, as well as relationship set contracts that involve all of them. And we refer to the schema for contracts as initials are given here. So a contract with contract ID C, species that a supplier S will supply some quantity, that is some mean to say there is some quantity. You are supposed to use various quantifiers here. There exist, for exist, and or not. You are supposed to use some quantity here, because you might have studied about the same symbols in logical programming. So we are talking about some quantity here of Q of a part P to a department D. So we might have a policy that, again there is a condition that is given. We might have a policy that a department purchases at most one part from any given supplier. So thus, if there are several contracts, between the same supplier and the department, then we know that same part must be involved in all of them. So this constraint is in the functional dependency. So have a look at the same. I am giving you a time of 2 minutes. If you are having any confusion, then let me know. I will explain you again. So next is various reasoning about FD. What is FD? Because in normal form, we are supposed to talk about FD. So given some functional dependency, we can usually infer additional FDs. For example, it is given here, social security number is deriving DID, comma DID, IoT, DID is fetching IoT, or I can say DID is deriving LOT. It implies that social security number is deriving LOT, because this relation could be cancelled in between, as we have studied in the maths concept. If A belongs to B and B belongs to C, then it could be the case that A belongs to C. So that is what it is happening here. A belongs to B and B belongs to C. So in the result could be A belongs to C. So same is the case that is defined here in similar in mathematical language, I can say. Now an FD is implied by a set of FDs F if F holds whenever all FDs in F hold. So there is an interpretation that is given for the same. F plus is equal to closure of Fs. F plus mean to say all the combinations that exist for that particular F, it could be applied here. So closure of F, it is all the set of FDs that are employed by F. So there are various maths rules that you can use here. Reflexivity, augmentation. These are the formulas that you might have studied in math. Augmentation, transitivity. So what does reflexivity say? If we are having these set of attributes, we are assuming X, Y, and Z. These are the type of attributes. But if we are talking about the reflexivity case, what could be the interpretation of those attributes? If I am talking about augmentation, then what could be the attribute, or what could be the interpretation? If I am talking about transitivity, then what could be the interpretation? So if I am talking about reflexivity, then if X is the subset which is equal to Y, then Y is deriving X. In augmentation, if X is deriving Y, then XZ is also deriving YZ for any Z that is given. Next is transitivity. If X is deriving Y and y is deriving z, then x is deriving z. Same is the case that is applied here. That is the case for the transitivity. So these are sound and complete inference rule for the FD. So you are supposed to remember these rules while you are doing any kind of functional dependency in normal forms. So have a look at the slide again. If you are having any confusion, then you can ask me any question. Again, continue reasoning about FD. That is couple of additional rules that follow from AA. It could be union, it could be decomposition. It could be union, it could be decomposition. If X belongs to Y and if X belongs to Z, then X belongs to YZ as well. So decomposition could be if X belongs to YZ, then X belongs to Y and X belongs to Z. So these are the terms that we have already discussed in DBMS. So next is example is given. For example, a contract is having various attributes, that is S could be supplier. So there are various attributes that are given here: CID, SID, JID, DID, PID, quantity and value, and C is the key. So these are the attributes whose initials are given here. What is C? That is contract. This is the previous example that we did in the last example. So this could be purchase, each part using single contract. So it could be related to JP, that is JID could be there, P could be there, and C is the contract that could be there. Next is purchases at most. Again, I am repeating, interpreting my whole query that is presented here. This one. So this is the representation of the same. Purchases, each part using single contract, then this could be the interpretation. Purchases at most one part from a supplier, then this could be the case. So these are the dependencies that are discussed for various attributes that are defined here. So have a look at the same. If you are having any confusion, then you can let me know. I will resolve it. So here it is the interpretation that is given for the same, that is computing the closure of closure, mean to say all the relations that are being defined in FD. Of the set of FD can be expensive. For example, size of the closure is exponential in the form of. Next is typically we just want to check if a given FD of X that is deriving Y is in the closure of a set of FDF. So an efficient check could be performed with the help of an attribute closure. So you are supposed to compute the attribute closure of X, denoted X plus with respect to F, that is functional dependency. So what could be the various cases that we are supposed to check it here? Set of all the attributes of A such that X is deriving A and A is in the functional dependency, that is F plus. So there is a linear time algorithm that is used to compute the same. So we are supposed to check if Y is in the X plus, does F functional dependency, which is having A is deriving B, B is deriving C, and there is C that is alone, and D is deriving E, which is implying that A is deriving E. That is, A is deriving E in the closure of functional dependency, equivalently E in the A plus. So you are supposed to determine the same in the functional dependency. So next is, what is the closure of the set of functional dependencies? The set of all FDs implied by a given set F of FDs is called the closure of F, and it is denoted as F plus. Similarly, if you remember, we have studied about the star procedure. F star, A star, B star. B star mean to say, if we are supposed to use union and intersection operation and we are using R star. R star mean to say all the elements that are present in R, whatever the combinations could be there, we are supposed to do the same. R star mean to say iteration. Star is R can repeat itself. R star. So star is the sign of iteration. Mean to say all the combinations that could be present in the R, it could be denoted in the set. So same is the case with plus here, or I can say closure here. An important question is how we can infer or compute the closure of a given set F of the FDs. So the following three rules that we have used, three I can say axioms we have used: transitivity, and two more were there, reflexivity, and in addition there was one more rule that we have discussed, augmentation. So these are the three rules that we are used to apply for the same. So these can be applied repeatedly to infer all the FDs implied by a set of F of the FDs. Now we can use X, Y, and Z to denote sets of the attribute over a relational schema R. How it could be used, that is defined here. Reflexivity could be if X, Y, then if X and Y is given, then X factorial Y is the reflexivity. Augmentation, if X factorial Y is already given, then X Z factorial Y Z for any Z. That is the relation that is already being defined. Transitivity, here they have used the factorial sign. In the above interpretation, we have used the arrow sign. So this is quite similar. Just see. This is not the case that you are supposed to do the factorial and this as well. You are supposed to do any one. That could be easy for you to understand. So I think this is more user friendly, I can say. So you can follow this technique. So next is, these are the axioms are the sound in that they generate only FD in F plus when applied to the set of F of the FD. So next is, they are complete in that repeated application of these rules that will generate all FDs in the closure F plus. So it is convenient to use some additional rules while we are reasoning about F plus. So this is the, I can say, summary of the closure set of the FDs that we have discussed so far. So union, we have already used union. If X is given and Y is given, then there could be another element, that is Z is given, then we can define the relation that with Z, XZ and YZ, or XYZ. Decomposition, if X divided by YZ is there, then XY and XZ would be there. So these additional rules are not essential. Their soundness can be proved using Armstrong axioms. Now, what is basically attribute closure? Attribute closure is what, as I told you in other forms, that as we use star symbol in various other mathematical interpretations. Same is the case with closure here. So if we just want to check whether a given dependency, for example, X is deriving Y, is in the closure of a set F of FDs, then we can do so efficiently without computing F plus. So we can compute the attribute closure X plus with respect to F. So which is the set of attributes A such that X is deriving A and it can be inferred using the Armstrong axioms. So next is the algorithm for computing the attribute closure of a set X of attribute S. Attribute is closure is equal to X. Repeat until there is no change, then there is curly brace. If there is an FD union that is deriving V in F such that U subset of closure, then set closure is equal to closure union of V. So this is the mathematical representation of the algorithm. So you can have a look at the same. If you are having any query regarding same, you can ask me. So next, coming to the main topic of discussion, that is normal form. What is normal form? The normal forms on based on FDs, that is one normal form, second normal form, third normal form, and Boyle's code BCNF normal form. So these forms have increasingly restrictive requirements. Every relation in BCNF is also in 3NF. So these are certain conditions that are associated with normal forms. Have a look at the same. Every relation in 3NF is also in 2NF. Mean to say there are certain conditions that could be associated with BCNF and there could be certain conditions that could be associated with 3NF. If those conditions match, then we can say that every relation in BCNF is also in 3NF. Then we can prove this fact. Every relation in 3NF is also in 2NF. Same, if the conditions matches, then we can prove the same. And every relation in 2NF is in 1NF. So our relation is in the first normal form. What is the condition for the same? If every field contain only atomic values, that is not list or sets. So this requirement is implicit in our definition of the relational model. Although some of the newer database systems are relaxing this requirement, they have given relaxation to consider this point. 2NF is mainly of the historical interest. 3NF and BCNF are important from a database design standpoint. So these are the three normal forms that we are going to discuss, but I will discuss all the terms in the next class. So have a look at the normal forms. What is basically a normal form? Returning to the issue of schema refinement, the first question to ask is whether any refinement is needed. Yes, it is needed. So if a relation is in a certain normal form, it could be in any normal form, 1, 2, 3, BCNF. So it is known that certain kinds of problems are avoided or minimized. Because you know why we are using normal form, so that we can minimize the problems that we might have encountered in handling database in the first instance. So this can be used to help us decide whether decomposing the relation will help. So what we are doing in FD, we are just decomposing the relations so that we can avoid the problems or we can minimize the problems that we might encounter. So what is the role of FD in detecting redundancy? You are supposed to consider a relation R. There could be three attributes that could be associated with it, that is A, B, and C. So no functional dependency hold. Why? If there is no redundancy here. If there is no redundancy, then no functional dependency hold. So if we are given with a relation that is A is deriving B, then several tuples could have the same value, same A value, and if so, they will all have the same B value as well. So that is why we can apply functional dependency here, but not here because there is no redundancy here. So there is redundancy. So we are supposed to apply functional dependency here. So this was all about your normal forms lecture. I will discuss each and every form in detail in the next class. So if you are having any queries, you can ask me any question. I am giving you a time of 1 minute. Just go through all the slides that have been discussed. In addition, I am going to give you the overview about my today's lecture. First of all, I have discussed about functional dependency. Normal forms, 3 normal forms are there. In addition, I have discussed in detail about functional dependency and what are the 3 axioms that we are supposed to use in order to manage the concept of the functional dependency. So these could be augmentation, reflexivity, and transitivity. In addition, I have discussed about union and decomposition. So these are the main terms, or I can say these are the main points that I am summarizing today and I have discussed so far. So if you are having any question, you can ask me again. I am scrolling through all these slides. If you are having any query, you can ask me. So these were the problems that related to the decomposition, functional dependencies, constraints on entity set. Example is given. Constraints on relationship set, reasoning about FD, closure set, attribute closure, normal forms. First, these are the lectures that I will discuss in detail in the upcoming lecture. This is the reference book that is given by Courth, and it is available in the college library. Get it issued from the library and have a look at the same. Most of your database related concepts could be clear by using this book. So I am going to give you an assignment for today's lecture. Write down a question about the functional dependency. I am giving you an example. Assume that we have an employee table. Assume that we have an employee table with attributes employee ID, employee name, and employee address. So here, employee ID attribute can uniquely identify the employee name attribute of the employee table, because if we know the employee ID, then we can tell that employee name associated with it. Now you are supposed to write the functional dependency for the same. Again, I am repeating. Assume that we have an employee table with attributes employee ID, employee name, employee address. Employee ID attribute can uniquely identify the employee name attribute of employee table, because if we know the employee ID, then we can tell that employee name associated with it. So functional dependency can be written. How? So this is your major question. So all of you are supposed to do the same, and I will discuss the same question in the next class. So there is a reference book for you that is available in the college library. Get it issued from the library and have a look at the same. So this is today's MCQ. Have a look at the questions and you are supposed to do the same. These are the questions that are given for your reference. 10 questions are there, and each question is having 4 choices, and you are supposed to take any one answer. You are supposed to submit me the answers once you are done with the quiz. So this was all about my today's class. If you are having any query, you can ask me. So this was all about today's class. Thank you. Have a nice day.